Now, over the next hour, we will be bringing you all the action as it happens. But first, let's go to Capitol Hill, where we are joined by California Congressman Devin Nunes. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Sean, it's always great to be on your show.
All right. You know, I know this is getting confusing for a lot of people, and we've got a lot of votes we even expect this hour. Why don't you tell us where we are?
Well, basically, we did the rule about an hour and a half ago, and so now we're moving on to the bills, and we're going to basically have two bills. We're going to have the Senate bill that we will pass first, and then we will have the reconciliation bill, which is the piece that will go back to the Senate and then passed. So we're about an hour away, probably.
All right, so it may even happen in this particular hour. Let me ask you, because a lot was made about Bart Stupak and the deal that he struck and the executive order with the president. I don't see that the executive order does anything. And by that I mean, you know, an executive order does not trump a statute. Can you explain that to people?
Yeah, I mean, Bart Stupak had held out for months saying that he would not settle for anything else but the Hyde Amendment being in the final health care bill. And I just think the pressure got too much for him. I mean, the pressure in this town, the totalitarian tactics that they're using, Sean, are absolutely incredible. It's like nothing I've ever seen. The crazies are in control. All
right, well, I concur. I think this has been the single most corrupt system. And for the American people to watch this is sad. I think this is a sad day for this country, based on the process, based on the bribery.
Try living it. It's ugly. I mean, we're disgusted. You know, we fought so long to hold the votes on this thing, and it looks like they're going to pass it by just a couple votes.
Do you think it's? Do you look more towards Bart Stupak? Do you blame him more for this?
Well, it's all of them. I mean, you know, obviously we're disappointed with Bart Stupak. You know, this is going to, you know, really change law. But really, look, the losers are the American people. This is the government takeover of health care. They are setting up 4 agencies in this town that will govern your health care. So when they say it's not government run, it is government run. And then they're going to have over 15,000 IRS agents that are going to enforce the new law.
What is going to be challenged here? In terms of the constitutionality of this? I want to get into the reconciliation part of the bill and what the Senate will do with this, because it's likely, well, let me ask you now, it's likely to go back to the House. Is that your understanding?
Well, okay, so after we get through tonight, it goes to the Senate. The Senate, last time I heard, they had about 20 different amendments that they could offer, and they're hoping to change the bill that would then send it back over to the House. I don't know if the Republicans can be successful, because let's face it, with reconciliation, Sean, as long as they hold 50 votes and bring Joe Biden in from the White House, they can stop us.
Well, when you say bring Joe Biden in, because he will trump the parliamentarian and be able to rule any way he wants, right?
Yeah, both that, and he can also be the deciding vote.
Oh, good point. All right, but back to the issue of the constitutional challenges that might exist for this, including the mandates, the state attorney generals that will challenge this bill. Where do you see maybe some constitutional challenges here?
Well, first of all, this is total destruction of our constitutional republic. When you take over 1/6 of the economy like this and nationalize it in Washington, D.C., you are taking the states' rights away. And you know, this is, to me, it's pure 10th Amendment. You already have Idaho, Virginia. You're going to have a host of other states that are going to challenge this, because in a time where states are running huge budget deficits, we are going to slap billions and billions of dollars onto the states this year when they can't even afford to pay teachers and firemen and basic services.
Yeah. All right. I want to play for you a cut of Alcee Hastings, the chairman of the Rules Committee. Now, this is something that he actually said yesterday. He said there are no rules around here. We're trying to accomplish something, and therefore, when the deal goes down, all this talk about we make them up as we go along. Here's what he said.
There ain't no rules around here. We're trying to accomplish something. And therefore, when the deal goes down, all of this talk about rules, we make them up as we go along.
No rules. We make them up as we go along.
When I use the term totalitarian, that's what I'm referring to. This is a Congress that has been doing this for Almost 4 years now. Remember, the Democrats have been in control for almost 4 years. They love to blame Bush for all their problems, but this has been going on. Sean, the only reason that was actually caught on tape was because C-SPAN cameras were allowed in. And those guys sit up in that Rules Committee, and they say that stuff all the time. I've been up there several times throughout the past few years, and they constantly say crazy things. Look, the crazies are in charge. If you're a Democrat, I don't mean to insult you, but the Democrat Party left a lot of Americans a long time ago.
What is in there of all the things that we have discussed? The Cornhusker kickback, the Louisiana Purchase, the special exemptions for other states like Florida. What do we know is in this 2,700-page bill that will result in thousands of other pages for individual government agencies? What do we know is actually in this bill? Because has anybody really actually read the bill?
Well, I don't see how. We've only had 72 hours to read it, and even then they've changed it since then. So, but if you look at what it does, other than the government agencies, the next thing you get to, after the IRS agents, of course, but you really get to the fundamental problem of the government programs we have in place today, the health care programs, Medicare and Medicaid. Right now, Medicaid, you're lucky if you can see a doctor if you're on Medicaid. They are going to put 15 million more Americans onto Medicaid. So if you're on Medicaid now, you're going to have less doctors to see. On Medicare, if you have Medicare Advantage, that's going away. So now the docs don't even want to see Medicare patients. So the two existing government programs, Medicare and Medicaid, are going to be loaded up. And then there's this new government-run insurance program that's going to be ran out of here in Washington, D.C.
All right, so Congressman, let me see if I can sum this up to the American people. The American people are going to pay more taxes. What, $2.4 trillion? I saw Paul Ryan on one of the Sunday programs this morning.
Yep.
We're going to lose jobs because I would predict that employers are going to end up laying people off, even part-time workers. Tell me if I'm wrong there. That we are going to risk the greatest health care system in the world. Is that your interpretation or just my interpretation?
Yes, all of that, but don't forget the point that we cannot pay for this stuff. We cannot tax any more than we already have. And so when you're talking about trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that we are not going to be able to collect. I made a joke last week because it was St. Patrick's Day that people must be waiting for leprechauns riding on unicorns with pots of gold. They didn't come, and now we must be waiting on the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, well, you know, it seems like it. You know, I got to tell you, the overwhelming amount of email that I have tonight is one of deep worry, anxiety, concern about the future of the country. And about the process and about the corruption in this particular case. You've mentioned this yourself. The American people, is there a way to pull back on this from your point of view?
Well, we are worried sick here. It's been a miserable time for us to watch this happen. I think that what's going to happen, the only way this can be beat ultimately if they get this done, will be a new president, because I can't imagine us getting to the point where we could override a presidential veto. Even if we could get control of the House, control of the Senate, how can we overhaul this next year?
And do you think
we won't have a president?
And do you think that this vote that we're going to watch in this hour tonight, in this country, what do you think are the political ramifications of this?
Well, you know, look. Personally, I don't see how the American people can let crazy leftists from the 1960s that are based out of Hollywood and San Francisco run this country. You've been to my district. You know what it's like, Sean.
Yeah. All right, Congressman, frightening point of view, and I tend to agree with most of your analysis. Thanks for being with us.